Alright, anyways.
Are we the...
Oh my gosh, that was loud. Sorry. Hold on. I need to do something really quick. Oh, wait. Oh my god, why is it in Arabic? No, subtitles needs to be... I know English. No, we should put a language that I don't know. Right, guys? Just... practice.
only living things in the entire universe? The observable universe is about 90 billion light years in diameter. There are at least 100 billion galaxies, each with 100 to 1,000 billion stars. Recently, we've learned that planets are very common too. And there are probably trillions and trillions of habitable planets in the universe, which means there should be lots of
Try to keep
opportunity
up.
for life to develop and exist, right? But where is it? Shouldn't the universe be teeming with spaceships? Let's take a step back. Even if there are alien civilizations in other galaxies, there's no way we'll ever know about them. Basically, everything outside of our direct galactic neighborhood, the so-called local group, is pretty much out of our reach forever because of the expansion of the universe. Even if we had really fast spaceships, it would literally take billions of years to reach these places, traveling through the emptiest areas in the universe. So let's focus on the Milky Way. The Milky Way is our home galaxy. It consists of up to 400 billion stars. That's a lot of stars. Counting one per second, it would take you 100 lifetimes to count them all. There are about 20 billion sun-like stars in the Milky Way, and estimates suggest that a fifth of them have an Earth-sized planet in its
Sorry,
habitable
sorry.
zone, the area with estimates. There are about 20 billion sun-like stars in the Milky Way, and estimates suggest that a fifth of them have an Earth-sized planet in
No,
its
that's
path.
not the part I
Stars.
missed.
That is our home
Oh
galaxy.
yes, this part.
It consists of up to 400 billion stars. That's a lot of stars. Counting one per second, it would take you 100 lifetimes to count them all. There are about 20 billion sun-like stars in the Milky Way, and estimates suggest that a fifth of them have an Earth-sized planet in its habitable zone, the area with conditions that enable life to exist. If only 0.1% of those planets harbored life, there would be 1 million planets with life in the Milky Way. But wait, there's more. The Milky Way is about 13 billion years old. In the beginning, it would not have been a good place for life because things exploded a lot. But after 1 to 2 billion years, the first habitable planets were born. Earth is only 4 billion years old, so there have probably been trillions of chances for life to develop on other planets in the past. If only a single one of them had developed into a space-traveling super-civilization, we would have noticed by now. What would such a civilization look like? There are 3 categories. A Type 1 civilization would be able to access the whole energy available on its planet. In case you're wondering, we're currently around 0.73 on the scale, and we should reach Type 1 sometime in the next couple of hundred years. Type 2 would be a civilization capable of harnessing all of the energy of its home star. This would require some serious science fiction, but it is doable in principle. Concepts like the Dyson sphere, a giant complex surrounding the sun, would be conceivable. Type 3 is a civilization that basically controls its whole galaxy and its energy. An alien race this advanced would probably be godlike to us. But why should we be able to see such an alien civilization in the first place? If we were to build generation spaceships that could sustain a population for around 1,000 years, we could colonize the whole galaxy in 2 million years. Sounds like a long time, but remember, the Milky Way is huge. So if it takes a couple of million years to colonize the entire galaxy, and there are possibly millions, if not billions of planets that sustain life in the Milky Way, and these other life forms have had considerably more time than we've had, then where are all the aliens? This is the Fermi paradox, and nobody has an answer to it. But we do have some ideas. Let's talk about filters. A filter in this context represents a barrier that is really hard for life to overcome. They come in various degrees of scary. 1. There are great filters, and we have passed them. Maybe it is way harder for complex life to develop than we think. The process allowing life to begin hasn't yet been completely figured out, and the conditions required may be really complicated. Maybe in the past, the universe was way more hostile, and only recently have things cooled down to make complex life possible. This would also mean that we may be unique, or at least one of the first, if not the first, civilization in the entire universe. 2. There are great filters, and they are ahead of us. This one would be really, really bad. Maybe life on our level exists everywhere in the universe, but it gets destroyed when it reaches a certain point, a point that lies ahead of us.
I fear we are there.
For example, awesome future technology exists, but when activated, it destroys the planet. The last words of every advanced civilization would be, "This new device will solve all of our problems once I push this
AI!
button." If this is true, then we are closer to the end than the beginning of human existence. Or maybe there is an ancient Type 3 civilization that monitors the universe, and once a civilization is advanced enough, it gets eliminated in an instant.
See, this is the part that's crazy.
There is an ancient Type 3 civilization that monitors the universe, and once a civilization is advanced enough, it gets eliminated in an instant. Maybe there is something out there.
In Mass Effect, this is what I was talking about. So the Reapers, like, you know, let's say they're Type 3, they come through and they destroy you once you get to a certain level of progression, so you never get past that. I was trying to remember, like, how this even came up.
There is no way for us to know.
It reminded me
One
of it.
final thought, maybe we're alone. Right now, we have no evidence that there's any life.
What do you
besides
guys
us.
think?
Nothing. The universe appears to be empty and dead. No one sending us messages, no one answering
They're
our calls.
so
We
insecure.
may be completely alone, trapped on a tiny moist mud ball in an eternal universe. Does that thought scare you? If it does, you're having the correct emotional reaction. If we let life on this planet die, perhaps there will be no life left in the universe. Life will be gone, maybe forever. If this is the case, we just have to venture to the stars and become the first Type 3 civilization to keep the delicate flame of life existing,
Doubt
and
it.
to spread it until the universe breathes its final breath and vanishes into oblivion. The universe is too beautiful not to be experienced by someone.
People
This
can't
video
even
was made
agree that
possible by-
pedophiles should go to jail. I don't think we're gonna become a Type 3 civilization. Never, ever, 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 ever. Oh, let's see. Oh man, I don't know. These are definitely videos. Alright, let's see. How billionaires live? No, wait. Desktop ecosystem. My goodness. Please hold. Oh shoot. How streamers live. I don't want to know how streamers live. Raising a tiny mouse family.
On the desk. But they might be surprised at how many little lives can be nurtured in just a thin and shallow slice of nature. This story isn't without its challenges or its ugly stages, but it comes together because a variety of very different species can fill many different roles to form a mini ecosystem
Guys, that's so
that
cool.
mostly takes care of itself.
I like looking at aquariums,
I
but
just finished putting plants
taking
in the
care of
desk
them
aquarium,
sounds just
and I had some time to wait for them to grow.
crazy.
So I immediately started clearing space for the next project.
Is that a triggerfish?
To make the most of it, I started with a very strange shape. Then with a bit of trigonometry and some silicone, I built something that used all the space and waited for it to cure.
Aww.
The next day, I cleaned up the lines and slot it into place.
That's so cool.
But I didn't want to have to get a wireless mouse and keyboard, so I raised it up just a little bit. frosted film on the back would hide the messy wires. Then everything was ready.
Nice.
It just needed to be aquascaped.
Aquascape.
I knew a local river that was pretty clean and had plenty of stones to choose from.
Aww.
So I brought a bucket and filled it with as many shapes and sizes as I could. I just brushed off the loose bits and took them home to dry.
Damn, this looks
First
fun.
of all, I protected the glass with some plastic and started trying out different arrangements to mimic the river.
Do you guys like his
Basically, the
kindergarten
big
class
pieces
more than
created
mine?
focal points, and the pebbles got dumped in between. I only really needed a loose composition as a proof of concept, because the rocks themselves have loads of texture, and I was going to have to remove them to add a substrate anyway. The plants that need nutrients to grow.
Oh, damn,
So of
enemy,
course
I have
used
to look
soil
that
and
up.
water to
I was
make
really into
And
aquariums
even
at
though
some
the tank
point,
is shallow,
and I was
locked it
seeing
all in
like
with a
super
thick layer of sand.
expensive aquariums that people
This
build.
time I paid a little bit more attention to detail.
And some of them cost
With
like
pathway leading
thousands
rise
of
towards the
dollars for the upkeep.
and
And
the occasional
it's
carefully
even
placed
worse if
stone
you
in the
want
balance.
saltwater aquariums.
Wide bushy plants went around the edges. And then I
Saltwater
planted
aquariums
smaller
are
tufts
like
of a different grassy
a
type
whole ass
in between
investment.
clusters of stones.
No, I say investment like it's gonna
Since
pay
Daniel
off. It
very
doesn't
kindly
pay
sent
off.
me all these plants for free. I chose everything rare and unique to glue onto the surfaces. They'll need to feed directly
Aww.
from the water instead of the soil. So I added some,
Damn.
and I want to grow as much algae as possible. So I'm using 2 powerful lights
Ant
right on the
Canada.
lid. Some food for the bacteria will help with establishing biofilm quickly. And finally, a pump on the floor under the desk is going to keep water flowing from one side to the other.
Whole new definition of water cooling, am I right, guys?
Already, the water's been completely taken over by free-floating algae, and it's taken hold on the surfaces too. Colonies on the glass have formed these comet shapes that reveal just how it spread around the tank. I'll have to scrape it off the front walls to see what's going on, because right now you can barely see an inch inside before the green is just too dense. Obviously I turned the lights up a little bit too much for such a shallow tank. So for a while I'll just turn them on for a few hours a day. I'll add some creatures that can take advantage of the abundance of microscopic life. These snails are prone to getting stuck on their back, so I'm just holding them against the glass until they latch on. If I just drop
Damn.
them in, they
He's
could get
touching
lost,
that water
and
like
they
it's
might
not
never be
gonna
able to flip
cause the
themselves up
next
right again.
outbreak.
Anyway, they'll wander off when they recover from being moved.
Aww, they're kinda cute. Oh my
I did
god,
put a
why are they
second
kinda
cube
cute?
back in the bin, but it just disappeared. Just
Why
been
are
using
they?
its foot to feel for the ground so it can crawl away.
Ew! That's a foot?
The layers are all hidden behind the tank, but because there's nothing much going on,
Oh,
opportunity to
playing
improve
golf
the
for the
pump
first time. Dude, boss, have
if I'm gonna
fun.
have
That's
water
cool.
pipes hanging around my
Very
computer,
white
I
man
don't
of
want 'em
you.
knocked and stretched when this motorized desk moves up and down. So I took the computer holder that came with the desk and used it to suspend a heated filter instead. I'm using zip ties.
Sorry,
so
I missed that
so
part.
if I'm gonna
Sorry,
have
sorry, I was talking.
I'll take the opportunity to improve the pump system. If I'm going to have water pipes hanging around my computer, I don't want them knocked and stretched when this motorized desk moves up and down. So I took the computer holder that came with the desk and used it to suspend a heated filter instead. I'm using zip ties so I can move it easily if I mismeasure anything. And now everything moves up and down with the desk.
How do you even find a
All that's left
standing
is to wait
desk
for the
that
grooves to clear up a
holds
bit.
that much weight? Because you have to. Because water is so heavy.
I've got another tank across the room that's full of scuds. And I'm thinking a little colony for my desk wouldn't hurt anybody. So I'll abduct a lucky few with a turkey baster.
He just
put 'em into the
abducted
greasy.
them. Ew.
The haze has dissipated enough to see some of what's actually happening. Like clean patches on the rocks that show where the snails have been grazing. There are signs that the plants have started to compete with the algae for nutrients. And one of the clams has settled out in the open. It draws water into its shell and feeds on whatever's been floating around. On the other side, visibility's even worse. But if you look carefully, you will see something strange. A faint stream of colour coming from one particular point. Somewhere deep in the bushes.
What is it?
Somehow the second clam has wedged itself between all the plants and rocks. It's also still digging deeper, so I don't think it wants to be found. I can see where the snails have been, but I thought it'd be funny to pick a species that looks like a rock. So I've no idea where they are now. I probably won't find them until the algae and fungus clear up. And the colour has faded to a grey mist. And a curious little fish pokes his head out from under a rock.
That's cute.
He checks if the coast is clear, to see if he can leave his cave in search of food. After spending his first day in isolation, it's time for a tasting tour around the riverbed. He finds nothing in a suspicious burrow, and swiftly moves on. But it doesn't take long before he stumbles into someone else's territory. Just like that, they became friends. I added 4 of these babies, and they spent the whole day grazing together.
Aww.
At nightfall, a mysterious shape looms in the burrow. Slowly it emerges, with one purpose: to wreak havoc on the aquarium.
No! This is like a horror movie.
Nah, he's just here to eat sand.
Oh, okay. Damn, that's me as fuck. I can't lie.
Why did I add a crab to the tank? Look at him.
He's-
What role does
yeah,
he fill
he's
in the
cute.
ecosystem? What role doesn't he fill in the ecosystem? He may not be able to swim, but he has no trouble at all with the uneven terrain. Constantly
Damn.
shuffling between cover. It's like he's got some kind of master plan going on.
How does he see
Never
where
really
he's
sits
going?
still for more than about
His
2
eyes are
seconds,
like in front.
unlike the other residents.
Oh my god.
I don't know how, but he
You
caught
got
a massive
hermit
squid for his
crabbed.
breakfast. He prefers to eat alone though. After finishing a meal, he usually retreats into the fog to scavenge
Aw.
outside.
He's kind of cute. I didn't know they were chill like that. 360-degree
Everyone in the
panoramic.
river is
Are you
at
lying?
least mildly territorial. Sometimes they just like to defend a random little corner. Or even make their own hole to hide in.
Oh, damn.
I added
Discovery
another crab
Channel? No, it's
who moved straight
YouTube.
into one of the caves,
Hi, Greg.
but occasionally waits patiently in the corner where I usually drop food in.
Aw,
He's
ew.
surprisingly dexterous and delicate. And the clams just continue to dig deeper every day. Believe it or not, the snails do their own share of terraforming as well. They move like a robot vacuum that can actually move furniture out of the way. Normally I'd wait a couple of months for everything to grow without any help, but in this case I should turbocharge the growth with carbon dioxide, because I want to get the most out of these rare, colourful plants. My other desk aquarium has an inline CO2 diffuser, so I'm just going to borrow it by moving it from here over to here on the pipework for the riverbed, and then I'll check back in a couple of weeks.
Damn, this guy's like advanced.
The water becomes more clear every day, since the green stuff just can't compete anymore. The scuds and the microfauna help, but the plants are doing the heavy lifting. The clams do some filtering, but really their contributions are negligible. The algae's been systematically stripped and eaten from most of the rockwork, but there's so much texture in the landscape, that there's always a surface with food left on it. So far, every species lives off the land, which in turn keeps their home in equilibrium. So I'm going to watch to see if it remains stable for a few weeks before adding more fish. For now, there are other ways to improve the setup. Since I work at this desk a lot in the evenings, I use a program that reduces eye strain by switching to warmer colours after sunset. So I've adjusted the automatic lighting schedule on the aquarium to match.
That's
It's
cool.
easier to see the difference if you turn it off suddenly. Anyway, while I was playing around with different software, I stumbled across Opera, who were kind enough to be a paid sponsor for this video.
Opera.
Their web browser's perfect for me because of how customizable it is.
True, but don't use his link. Use mine.
Using my link, take any opportunity to escape, so I have to close the gaps in the lid. And sadly, they have to look for food somewhere else. But the gobies are happy to graze on floors.
I want to see him add more fish.
So while these can't bring, an ambassador is sent right away to greet the newcomers.
Do we get new fish? Oh!
An ambassador is sent right away to greet the newcomers. Although they're in shock because of the new environment. He's doing his best to make friends, but the panic has already set in.
Why are they having such a hard time swimming?
They've been dropped into a foreign land, and they need to claim their own corner as soon as possible to feel safe. This guy's not interested in hiding under a rock like everyone else, and decided to take matters into his own hands.
Bro's
It
independent.
took some convincing, but the locals were eventually able to calm three of them down. And in the evening, they scouted for a safe place to spend the night, while the fourth continued to create one.
I don't think I've ever seen a fish lay down
The
like that.
shift from scared to curious didn't take long, which means exploration is the priority for today. There's no expectation of hidden dangers.
Do you think that the fish know that they're in a fish
And
tank?
once revealed, they'll happily sit just out of range to observe. They easily become fixated on any tiny movement.
No.
It reminds me of how kittens creep up on their targets. They spend a lot of time hunting, but look really embarrassed when prey slips away. Sometimes they'll again.
I like this guy's like narration. I feel like this could be a show.
But they're not endlessly distracting. But actually, in a scene where things are still most of the time, I've found that sudden movements grab my attention the most. So in the end, I've decided to add some midwater fish to reduce distraction by providing some constant background movement.
Aww.
These tiny emerald rasboras are going straight into an established ecosystem and will help cement the stability it already has.
Ooh, those are pretty.
Just by swimming around, they'll make the whole community stronger, because it shows other inhabitants there's no danger in the open water.
Aww. That's so
The
cute.
overgrowth of microfauna on every surface will be kept in check. With the sea shrimp
Why did he just
Provide-
spit that out, bro? And then he
shrimp all over the rooms provided a natural food source. They'll learn to hide with the amphipods in harder to reach places, because any that don't will be picked off by these terrifying predators.
Who are the predators?
Every other species likes to constantly modify the landscape, so it's a good job the rocks and plant roots keep it from shifting too much. The deepest digs seem to happen just before the lights go off, as if they're tucking themselves into bed.
I like how they're like working.
Before he discovered someone else was already buried there. I added a third crab, and he's so much smaller
Hi,
than the
Deacon!
with mini bloodworms. His size also means he can slip through the grass to scavenge, where the other crabs
They're
have to climb over.
blubbing.
He's
Oh
barely the size of a
god.
fish. All the crabs seem to avoid each other as much as possible anyway. I've ended up with a lot of life packed into an otherwise unused space. And I've got a front row seat where I can watch the story continue to unfold.
Aww, that's so
Thank
cute.
you to my supporters on Patreon who make these videos possible.
Alright guys,
You
we're
are
gonna
very kind and very
break into this guy's house and steal his aquarium and PC. Like, are you kidding me? Alright, raising a tiny mouse family. The terrifying possibility of the great filter? What's that? Time dilation visualized. What's time dilation? Our minds are weirder than you think. Ooh, I want to see that. Alright, guys.
You exist in a truly secret place nobody but you can enter. Your mind. When we say mind, we mean the place where you, whatever you are, exist. It's the totality of your inner world, the location of your consciousness and memories, the toolset of your intelligence. It's the place where all of your wants, thoughts and emotions happen, where you think, learn, dream and imagine things, consciously and unconsciously. Your mind is truly your own, a universe only directly accessible and inhabited by you and inaccessible to anyone else in the universe. And your mind is probably unique to you. Probably because how would we know if two minds are the same? What do you see when you imagine an apple? A detailed scenery, a crisp image with clear details and color. Is the apple hanging in a void? Can you rotate it? Is it a 2D shape? Is it colorless or transparent or very vague? Or don't you see anything at all but feel what an apple feels like to you? Maybe a weird mix? Do you have an internal voice that narrates your life? Do you have an inner monologue? Is there silence inside your mind? Do you only hear voices when you read? Or do you process thoughts non-verbally or even just feel the world around you? It's a bit stunning how many variations of inner universes humans have and how different our minds must be. Humans have arguably the most complex minds on Earth, but today it's widely accepted that minds are not exclusive to us. There are trillions of animal minds out in the world, unaccountable little secret universes,
Taco.
forever locked to us. And by looking at them and their evolution, we may be able to learn why our minds are as stunning as they are today. A pretty wild idea is that minds might have originally evolved to control your movements, to create a gap between all of your sensory input and your motor output, how you react to information by moving your body. A tool to deal with the world. When life emerged, it was without any minds, but just cells, able to eat, poop, and reproduce. They already had to navigate a complex and dangerous world and to process sensory input, but they were extremely inflexible. If a cell had the inner state hungry and sensed food, it automatically moved in that direction, or it flapped around randomly until it ran into a meal by accident. This worked well enough for billions of years and still does, but as life exploded in complexity and became multicellular, cells began to dedicate themselves to processing information. The first very simple minds emerged, little more than tiny gaps. Virtual spaces in which sensory information could be processed for a short moment before these early animals had to react. Roundworms only have 302 neurons in total, yet they're already able to learn things like, this thing is bad, and retain a memory that changes behavior for a few hours before they forget again. Minds on this level most likely don't reason or think, but use simple rules that work well in their environments. Scientists still debate whether this counts as mind or are still just pre-programmed automated reflexes. With more neurons, animals can freeze before they act.
That's what your
and
mama
interpret
said when
information
you were
and
born.
make decisions for what's the best option at that moment. This is arguably where a true inner space, a mind, begins to emerge. And some insects may have something like it, like our buddy the bee. With a brain smaller than a sesame seed and about 1 million neurons, a bee has a much larger mind gap. And it's filled with information about the world. It builds and remembers a huge mental map of flowers over square kilometers of terrain, cross-referencing it with the position of the sun to
Oh my
find its way.
god.
Bees can take shortcuts, so they can't be simply following reflexes, but are actually navigating their internal maps. In extreme cases, when resources are scarce, bees can move up to 10 kilometers from their hives to collect food, the equivalent of going from Paris to Rome for groceries. And they teach the location of the food by dancing.
Now we're not going in
Minds
order. I'm
have
just
emerged
seeing
a
what
few
looks
times
cool.
in evolutionary history and evolved in different directions. So while we're telling this story by increasing complexity, in reality, minds are more like a weird mix of different experiments depending on what niches the animals fill. If your mind wants to experiment with a business idea, our partner Adu has got you covered. Adu idea
No!
is simple, but things can get complex fast. And just everything notices because when you're ready to you get out with Adu. We add more neurons. Mind complexity probably increases dramatically as we add more neurons, like the octopus that has about 500 million of them.
Oh
Only
my
40%
god.
of their neurons are in their central
Dude,
brain, while each of
octopus
their
are
arms
so
has their
smart.
own mini nerve centers that taste, process information locally at the
I
same
love
time,
octopus.
and act on their own. The central brain does still coordinate them for complex behavior
Oh,
like
thank
catching
you, Will.
prey, because imagine 8 arms doing their own thing all the time. But different arms are specialized and used primarily for different tasks, like exploring or movement. And we know their arms can make decisions independently to some degree and have some autonomy. Octopuses are very intelligent animals, able to do loads of complex things, so their minds should be somewhat complex. But how does their mind experience things? Is it distributed over their whole body? Does an octopus feel like multiple smaller minds interacting as one thing? If octopuses show how strange minds can be, birds show how sophisticated they can become if it develops in a different direction. Some bird species with billions of neurons probably have surprisingly sophisticated minds where they can go one step further. While minds may have
How many
started
neurons
as a
do
gap
we
to
have?
delay action, bird minds are able to simulate a map of reality, including other players. Scrub jays are hoarders that catch and hide all sorts of food in different places, from worms to nuts. Inside their mind, they keep track of time and are aware that fresh food goes bad. So after a few days have passed, they'll ignore the hiding places of dead worms and instead go for the nuts that are still good. Probably more impressive, they might be able to simulate the minds of other birds. If a scrub jay is hiding food and notices another jay watching, they'll return later and re-hide their stash so it doesn't get stolen. Which is a perfect transition to what makes the minds of humans so special. While we're probably not the only animals that can simulate other minds inside our mind, humans with our 86 billion neurons have
86
taken it
billion!
to extraordinary depths. The internal universe. When humans are born, they're cute but selfish blobs of meat, solely focused on their own needs. But around 18 to 24 months, a baby becomes able to recognize itself in a mirror. It realizes that something that seems to be other is actually itself, which is usually a delightful experience for the human larvae. But it's also the first step of a powerful realization. You're not just an observer in the world, there are also others that can observe you. You see and you're
What if
seen.
you never showed a
And if
baby a
you're
mirror?
seen, well, then you can't just behave egoistically all the time because you need the goodwill of others to stay alive. We humans are not just simulating other minds in our minds, we simulate minds simulating minds. We think about what others think. We think about what they think about us thinking about what they think, and so on.
Oh my
There are
God.
a lot of layers. This awareness of the minds of others may be one of the origins of our moral conscience, and a huge reason why we're able to live in large societies with other humans we're not related to.
It
And
would
may have
explode.
spawned one of our most charming obsessions,
Adriel.
storytelling.
Adriel.
We don't just remember
How's it
that an
going?
event happened, we imagine what the people that were part of it were thinking, what we think they should have been thinking, what might have happened if they'd acted and thought differently. Combined with our ability to create fictional universes to plan ahead, we've created countless fictional worlds with people that don't
Totoro!
exist, but that we deeply relate to, that are real to us. Every movie, novel, or comic is humans sharing their internal simulations with each other. Whether you see a photorealistic apple in your mind or feel the concept of an apple, in the storytelling space, we're all able to come together and understand each other. This is how we transport information about morality and our values, about what we think is good or bad. So maybe the most amazing thing about human minds is that they're fundamentally social, filled with voices, ideas, and perspectives from countless others. Your thoughts and feelings have been shaped by stories that never happened, but that you've absorbed and simulated in your mind in a way that's unique to you. In a very real sense, your secret mind isn't just yours, but a collaborative creation between you and all the human minds that came before. And if you want, you can add your stories as well, for the ones that come after.
For the ones that come after, he said the
Our latest
thing!
limited edition pin is here, kicking off the new Cosmic Time collection.
Oh my gosh. That's kind of crazy. Okay, hold on. Let's go back to home. Building. Oh my god, dude. My For You page for you'd.
This will be the vivarium of vivariums. I am Ants Canada, creator of worlds, the biological engineer of a multi-year operation in my giant ant room lab.
Oh
Located
my
in home, where
god.
I'm building an expansive network of ecosystem vivariums. Exhibit A, Pantora, my 1,000-gallon cloud rainforest floor vivarium, which is connected by way of a cave tunnel to Exhibit B.
You mean you could
Hudson,
just make
the
a
tropical
rainforest?
wetlands vivarium, and to a vertical glass bridge of wooden vines, ascending up to Exhibit C, Orcadia, a treetop canopy vivarium on the floor above, and through an opening at the back, leading to a fallen log bridge, to Exhibit D, Verdantia, a gargantuan 2,000-gallon tropical grasslands vivarium. It's all one massive connected ecosystem I call Pangea, housing a plethora of fungi, plants, and animals whose purpose is to reveal how ecosystems work in the wild. And guys, this happens to be the 100th episode of this Ecosystem Vivarium series.
Oh my god.
So in celebration of this milestone, I've decided to announce that I have officially begun the construction of our next giant vivarium, which will attach to Pangea and is set to be the vivarium of Vivaria, pushing the boundaries of possibility in my ongoing quest to reconstruct Mother Nature within glass. And guys, you will be mind blown by what I have planned for this next tank, Vivarium 5.
Oh my god. Vivarium, the sequel.
Please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon. Welcome to the AC.
Oh, for sure, dude.
Enjoy.
I can't even imagine how much money it takes to make this. I wish he would include the cost just for funsies.
As Pangea's creator of worlds, I've come to learn that building these ecosystem biomes within glass requires a great deal of planning and research in order to work. It requires a clear understanding of the biome under construction, a plan for what types of living things would call it home, and how they would all interact, a knowledge on the needs of these species, and what environmental factors need to be
I have no idea.
replicated for them to thrive. But most of all, it requires an understanding of the role the biome plays at keeping the planet alive. It's why I've been studying for this next vivarium, tentatively called Vivarium 5, or Viv 5, for years now, and have been canvassing for the right team to help me, because I always knew that when I was ready, and was crazy enough to actually
anyone know
attempt to
the
pull off
location
such a
of this
hard
man?
and complex world, creating this particular ecosystem vivarium would
Not
be
like
the
coordinates,
coolest,
but
most ambitious,
I guess
most
his name is Ant
biodiverse,
Canada,
and
so
greatest
maybe
opportunity
Canada?
for learning in a single vivarium yet. Soon you'll understand why I say
Yeah,
it's an
that's what I'm
understatement
assuming.
that Viv 5
Some
will
of
be
the
unlike
darker
any
stuff?
other vivarium
What
we've ever made.
what darker stuff?
And to the best of my knowledge, a first of its
Depends
kind.
what it is.
So what biome will this new vivarium be? Well, it's quite specific
Oh.
and a bit on the complex
I
side.
feel like I'll
But you
probably
guys will
save
love it.
horror stuff for
So
another
let's
day,
get
but
to
I'm
it.
down for crime videos, yeah. Always down for those.
One of the things that will make this next giant vivarium different is that it will offer more ecological niches for its residing creatures than any other existing vivaria in Pangaea. How so? Well, to put it simply, it's a compound of habitats that can be divided into 4 different zones, which will be home to different sets of creatures. So let's start by talking about the first zone. It's maintenance day for Godzilla, my young spectacled caiman. He eats once a week and poops once a week. And when he does, my team and I go in to give Godzilla and everything in his enclosure a good cleaning. We take precautions to ensure our safety during this potentially dangerous operation, but every time, Godzilla is highly cooperative and anticipates his favorite part of this maintenance day routine, which you will witness shortly. Now, as a crocodilian, he's got some really sharp teeth and is capable of a nasty bite, which is why, if you've been following the channel, you know he's been undergoing human desensitization training in this very open holding tank, which has been a temporary home until he gets transferred to his next home. As you can see, his training has been effective as he is totally calm around us now, and this comfortability around humans is important to instate while these caiman are young and small, because a full-grown 5-foot caiman that is scared of humans can lead to a lethal situation rather quickly.
Ah, he's kind
We
of
start by
cute.
doing a water change, scrub down his rocks and tank, as well as scrub his back. And this is the part he loves the most. Arching his back so we can really get in there with a good scrubbing, with his mouth wide open. This back
The
scrubbing
dog.
session takes him to crocodilian
Bro, that's not a
ecstasy.
dog, that's a crocodilian.
Oh, tickles. Sorry, Godzilla. This scrubbing helps keep algae off his back and also removes dead scutes, the bony scales that cover his body. As you can see, he's really come a long way from wanting to bite our hands off back when he first started this training program to now looking forward to this weekly scrub time. Once this tank is completely clean, it's time to go in and add some floating lettuce, which will help with keeping nitrogen levels in the water down until the next week's water change, and also reintroduce beneficial microscopic life, which will assist in keeping the water clean. Now, as much as he's come to love this holding tank, as mentioned, he's ready to move to a larger home, with a larger land area onto which to bask, and a new set of aquatic organisms in the waters. Now, I've been planning to have Godzilla move into Viv 5 because Godzilla species can actually be found in Viv 5's biome in the wild. So I can't wait for him to enjoy life in Viv 5 when it's complete.
Theo would
At least for a
solo
little
that
while
thing.
before we move in to either
That's
my
a cat,
60-foot
yeah.
outdoor pond in my yard or to a friend's zoo to live and breed with other spectacled caimans like him. He will particularly love
Bruce
what I
having
have planned
play
for
dates,
Viv
like,
5's
what?
First zone. The first zone of Viv 5 will be a rocky jungle, and I plan to have a variety of tropical plants growing around a volcanic rock hill onto which he can climb and bask under, just as he does in his current tank, but with a lot more land space. Also, Viv 5 will provide a huge swimming area for him, with a ton of microorganisms swimming around in it. And get this, no more water changes needed. I know you tank folks are scratching your heads at this, but more about that in a bit. He'll also be able to hunt for prey like crickets and roaches migrating from the other Vivaria, as well as those he manages to catch in the other 3 zones. Now onto Zone 2, which I think you guys will find truly interesting.
Damn, this guy's pretty good at sketching as well. What can't he do? He thinks he's God for
I'm
sure.
a beach guy and have been able to visit some incredible beaches around the world. Each beach is different, and not all beaches are powdery sands and walkable. In fact, a lot of them are dangerous, rocky, and hard to navigate. But it's these hard to get to places that I find are the most biologically interesting to explore. Tide pools are isolated pockets of seawater that form in rocky depressions along the coastline as the tide
Rocky
recedes,
depression.
creating thriving miniature ecosystems. These dynamic habitats harbor hardy marine life such as anemones, sea urchins,
Anemones.
starfish, crabs, and seaweed adapted to drastic daily changes in sunlight, temperature, and water levels. AC Family, Viv 5 will have a tide pool zone where water can be trapped and creatures can take advantage of these high nutrient bowls of wet living space. I definitely plan on introducing tide pool creatures to Viv 5, which will truly make it a unique vivarium. I've seen a few interpretations of tide pools simulated in tanks online, but I don't think I've seen them quite like how we're going to create ours. I truly plan on replicating nature with this zone. I'm so stoked about this. Now about not needing water changes. On the topic of nutrients, this brings me now to Zone 3. Ooh, you guys will love this. Hydromeda, the wetlands vivarium, has been pretty non-problematic, save a few leak incidents at the start. The water environment is completely stable, and insects travel from other vivaria
No, I don't like
and end up drowning
those.
in the water, feeding other creatures below it. It's actually an aquatic paradise down here, but it does come at a price. It's pretty high maintenance to keep things stable. Once a week, Hydromeda requires a 25% water change to get rid of the nitrogen produced from fish waste and decaying material in the water. This nitrogenous waste is poisonous to animals if it builds up to certain levels, and many creatures like Valentino, my green tree python, who drinks from the water on a regular basis, depend on Hydromeda's waters to
What
be
happened to your
clean.
fish tank,
A
Italic?
powerful sump filter and an awesome team of plants help remove some of the nitrogen and nutrients from the water, but not all. Hence the weekly 25% water changes. However, after discussing with my team, I'm excited to share that once Viv 5 is up and running, we no longer will have to worry about these weekly 25% water changes in Hydromeda, as we'll have a place to siphon off all the dirty water to, where a special set of organisms will gladly eat it all up.
Wow. The mangroves.
Mangroves are among the most productive and biologically complex ecosystems on Earth, serving a critical bridge between land and sea in tropical and subtropical regions.
Where
They
do
are
mangroves
superheroes
exist?
of
Are you
coastal
sure you're an
ecosystems,
epic gamer?
Howdy
acting
y'all,
as
it
buffers
smells
against
like hot
huge
dog
storm
in here.
waves
What's
and
up,
erosion.
dog?
They're
Oh,
biodiversity
you got
hotspots,
me.
providing a home
Chick-fil-A,
for a ton
thank
of
you so much for
species,
the tier 1 sub. Welcome back
and
for
are
5
climate
months.
change warriors as they trap hundreds of
Oh,
millions of
thank you so
tons
much for
of
helping reach
CO2
that sub
gas
goal.
from the atmosphere.
Oh my
The
goodness.
mangroves themselves
That's crazy.
are highly specialized plants that have adapted to live in salty water or brackish water, i.e. a mix of salty and fresh water.
Brickish.
They're able to filter out the salts via salt glands in their leaves and have roots that can filter it out as well.
Wow.
Mangroves also help filter the water of pollutants and eat up a ton of nitrogenous waste and nutrients. And so I plan on having water from Hydromeda travel through some clever piping
Wow.
to emerge as a small drip system into Viv 5 to eventually feed the mangroves.
Wow.
And simply top off Hydromeda
This guy's pretty
using
smart.
special water level sensors with fresh water directly from my tap, which comes from a well, so no chlorine. In this way, both Hydrometa and Viv 5 will not require partial water changes and will be truly stable with little to no human maintenance required.
That's
Plus,
crazy.
this is actually what happens in nature, where fresh water travels through the tropics, which is what Hydrometa represents, and eventually makes its way to the biome of Viv 5.
Oh, I used to move a
also
lot.
provide
Hi,
essential
Godzilla.
habitat and hunting ground.
I want to
for
look
other
up where
cool creatures,
mangroves are.
like mudskippers, which are the cutest predatorial fish that can live in water and on
Oh!
land, as well as archer fish, which
That was
spit
so
droplets of water out to
cute!
snipe bugs traveling on the mangroves, so they fall into the water to eat. I know a lot of you have been asking for both these neat creatures, so this should be a real treat if we pull it off. The mangroves also provide essential hiding spots for fish and other small critters hiding from predators, like Godzilla, as well as other key predators
Oh,
that I've been
wow,
told
there's actually
could be
quite a
properly
lot.
sourced where
I
I
did
live
not know that.
and would reside in the fourth and final zone
Oh.
of Viv 5.
There are mangroves in Texas?
Problems get left on the mainland. Don't need that baggage, we're going. Just
Damn, dude. Why would he show us
I live in the
this?
Philippines.
Oh,
which
he
is
lives in the Philippines!
of over 7,600
Someone
islands,
said that earlier,
home
but
to
I was
some of the
like,
most
why is his
stunning
name
beaches
Canada?
in the entire world. And my favorite beaches I've ever visited are found here in the Rock Islands of Palawan. Massive towering walls of black limestone jut out of the ocean like Gothic castles,
Wow.
cutting up the ocean into sections of shallower turquoise bodies of water, some of which are hidden estuaries.
He moved
where
from
fresh
there
water
like 3
from
years
lakes
ago.
and
Oh,
streams
how'd you know
meets
that?
salty water coming in from the ocean.
Aw, that's so cool.
These estuaries, bordered by mangroves, tide pools, and rocky jungle, are protected from the harsh ocean waves.
Yeah, maybe
and
Houston.
are
I
too
don't know,
shallow
to be
for
honest.
larger predators to enter.
It just
which
said
makes them
Texas, Louisiana,
peaceful,
and
biodiverse
Florida.
sanctuaries, known as nursery grounds.
Yeah.
Every time I visit such nurseries, I always try to spot baby sharks, and have been lucky on several occasions. This is a nursery ground I
Aww.
visited several years ago, where I spotted baby black-tipped sharks hunting for fish. In these nursery grounds, one can find a ton of truly neat aquatic life, including seagrass and kelp, coral and sponges, various species of schooling fish, hunters like lionfish and mudskippers, crustaceans like a mano shrimp, which are found in Hydrometa but that require brackish water for their larvae to hatch, weird invertebrates like sea cucumbers, larger creatures like stingrays.
I've always wanted a
and my
fish tank,
ultimate
but
favorite, baby sharks.
I fear that I
Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, who
would
flee to
not
these nursery grounds
be able to
after
take care
hatching
of it,
from their eggs
maintain it.
to escape
I
predation
travel
from other
sometimes
sharks and
too,
fish. AC family, for those of you screaming at your screen right now, at
and
the
I would
prospect
be really
of
sad
having
if
stingrays
my fish
and
died.
sharks in Pangea, I won't reveal too much more, but bid you all to make sure you subscribe to the channel, because like I said, Vid 5 will be
I think if
unlike
I had like
any
a
other
stable
vivarium
home
we've ever made,
and the means to
and
take
the
care
best
of one,
my
I would
knowledge,
love one.
a first of its kind in the entire
But
world.
currently,
And I'd love for
neither.
you guys to be part of the journey as we built it and learn along the way.
What'd you do with your fish? You killed them?
So now you may be asking, after all we've seen, a jungle zone, a tide pool zone, a mangrove forest zone, and a nursery, what exactly is this biome we're building in Vivarium 5? Well, AC family, there is a name for it. It's a place where the jungle, the tide pools, the mangroves, and the nursery all converge into a single key habitat, offering a very specific set of niches for a massive array of life.
Oh,
A dynamic
aw.
world shaped by the tides, where freshwater meets the salty in a brackish cocktail, creating a biologically rich and geologically complex cradle of space, tucked away in some of the most remote tropical parts of the planet that a lot of people don't hear much about but is absolutely vital to all life on Earth. And after having visited and experienced this incredible biome and studied the insane array of specialized species that call it home, I,
Oh
the
my
creator
god,
of
dude.
worlds,
I
am committed
went down a
to
rabbit
rise
hole
to the challenge of
watching
replicating
saltwater
as the
tanks
newest
on YouTube.
beneficial integration to Pangaea.
Crazy how
And
much
so,
those things
in
cost.
this 100th episode
And
of
to
the
maintain
Ecosystem
them.
Vivarium series, AC
Like-
Family, I am proud to announce that our Vivarium 5 shall be
I got spoiled by the captions.
a lagoon.
That was so cool. Aww. Dude, that was like 4 days ago. I can't believe we discovered him just in time. Episode 1000 special. You are all in my new vivarium. Aww. Mm. Interesting. It might be bedtime. Good night, Pressure. He's scared. MIT explains 12 possible endings. Oh damn, this one's kind of long.
AI scientists warn
Let's watch
that
for a little
few
bit, see if it's
companies are
boring.
on track to literally
Let's
end
watch it in
mankind.
3 times speed. Try to
So-
keep up.
Surely this is the worst possible outcome, right?
Extinction?
No. There are actually much worse outcomes.
What?
Billionaires building AI, like Elon Musk, think that if AIs become smarter than humanity,
We will be like a pet Labrador if we're lucky. We will be left behind by a lot. So far, below them in intelligence, that it would be like, you know, a pet, basically.
Yeah, that's what I was
like a
thinking.
pet.
Cat, like a big-
yes, we'll be pets if we're lucky. But here's the worst part. Many AI scientists aren't fearing extinction. They're hoping for it. They hope smarter AIs will keep humans alive, captive, and studied, like animals in a zoo. Remember, this is what we currently do to less intelligent species. Okay, so if humans being kept in zoos is considered a good outcome, and extinction isn't the worst outcome, then what is? This video is based on a book called Life 3.0, where MIT professor Max Tegmark described 12 possible futures. Some are paradise, some are nightmares, and some look like paradise until you try to escape. By the end of this video, you won't read the news the same way. Every headline becomes a clue about which future we're heading towards. We'll start with the most normal scenarios, and finish with the weirdest. Starting with self-destruction. If the idea of humanity suddenly going extinct seems a bit far-fetched, consider this. 99.9% of species that have ever existed have gone extinct. Seriously, think about that. Extinction isn't rare, it's the default. The only question is,
Did you guys see that Elon was caught like using his mom's Twitter account to reply to himself?
do we go extinct?
Genuinely,
Turns out, there are plenty of ways humanity could kill itself, even without superhuman AI. There's
money
war,
cannot buy
super pandemics, and destroying the atmosphere and making Earth
a mother's
inhabitable.
love, apparently.
The world had stockpiled 60,000 nuclear warheads before scientists even discovered the possibility of nuclear winter. 63,000. And then scientists realized, oops, if we actually use these, the resulting firestorms will blot out the sun, and most humans will starve and die.
Oops.
But the thing is, this almost happened during the Cold War, multiple times. If people had actually followed their orders, we might all be dead right now. We were saved by only thanks to the courage of individual heroes, people like Vasily Arkhipov. who refused to authorize a nuclear launch during the Cuban Missile Crisis, or Stanislav Petrov, who correctly guessed that his early warning system was malfunctioning when it showed incoming American missiles. And get this, one time, the US accidentally dropped 4 thermonuclear bombs.
Accidentally.
And another time, a B-52 bomber broke apart, dropping 2 nukes on North Carolina. 3 out of 4 safety pins in one bomb broke. One tiny pin away from potentially killing millions. There are literally dozens of close calls like this. It's honestly crazy that we got lucky so many times. But we might not be so lucky the next time. Oxford researcher Toby Ord estimates the risk of extinction from human-created pandemics is more than 30 times the risk of extinction from nuclear war. We're already rolling dice in these scenarios daily, but all of these causes combined are still less likely than extinction from AI. Toby Ord estimates that the risk of AI killing all humans is 100 times more likely than extinction from nuclear war. Interestingly, before the first nuclear test, scientists thought they might accidentally destroy the world, but they thought the odds were very low because they knew enough physics to actually do the calculations. AGIs, or artificial general intelligences, are far scarier than nukes because, contrary to what many think, we can't do these calculations. Next up, conquerors. AI scientists worry that if AI becomes more capable than us, it will take over, just like the conquistadors did to the Aztecs and Incas.
Usually, when people with more advanced technology encounter people with more primitive technology, it doesn't work out well for the primitives.
I don't think anyone's ultimately going to have control over digital superintelligence any more than, say, a chimp would have control over humans.
He looks like he's wearing someone's skin. Like, he just always looks uncomfortable.
Long term, the AI is going to be in charge, to be totally frank, not humans.
And Jeffrey Hinton, the godfather of AI and Nobel Prize winner, quit his prestigious job at Google so he could speak freely about this.
If you look through the James Webb Telescope and you saw an alien invasion fleet that was going to get here in about 10 years' time, people would be terrified. They understand what they're saying. They can make plans of their own to blackmail people who want to turn them off. We should be urgently doing research on how to prevent them taking over.
Prevent them from taking over. Not if they try, but as if it's coming. And Microsoft's AI chief he says that quite well.
I think AI should best be understood as something like
What do you guys
a new
think?
digital species.
A new species. Just casually announced at a conference. Hey everyone, we're creating a new species. And he's not the only one saying it. A co-founder of Anthropic says,
Make no mistake, what we're dealing with here is a real mysterious creature, and like all the best fairy tales, the creature is one of our own making. I am worried.
the CEO of one of the leading AI companies is deeply afraid of what his own company is building. Let that sink in for a minute. And by the way, no, it's not just hype. Anthropic mostly just gets hate for saying things like this. But if you want to really understand how dire they think this is, look at what Sam Altman wrote before he was famous. We will be the first species ever to design our own descendants. Not our tools, our descendants. If two different species both want the same thing, and only one can have it, to be the dominant species on the planet and beyond, they are going to have conflict. So he's literally describing an inevitable conflict between humanity and the AI species he's creating. And what's the solution? A marriage with AI is probably our best case scenario. That's right, even they don't think they'll be able to control it.
Imagine that there'd be a new species that just came on Earth. They're as smart as humans, and they're going to get smarter by like 30% a year, and they can create an adult offspring in like immediately for like $1,000. Which species do you think will be in control of the Earth?
A few hundred Spanish conquered millions of Aztecs and Incas because they had better technology and tactics. But at least with the conquistadors, we understood their motives: land, resources, spreading Christianity. But with AI, why would AI take over? MIT professor Max Tegmark explains.
The real threat from AGI isn't malice, like in silly Hollywood movies, but competence. AGI accomplishing goals that just aren't aligned with ours. For example, when we humans drove the West African black rhino extinct, we didn't do it because we were a bunch of evil rhinoceros haters, did we? We did it because we were smarter than them and our goals weren't aligned with theirs.
Unbelievably, the average AI researcher thinks there is a 1 in 6 chance AI wipes us out. Literal Russian roulette odds. Okay, but maybe they're just saying this to make their work seem more important? No. If anything, they're downplaying it because admitting the truth is bad for business. This fear is widespread in the industry and among academics without a profit incentive to believe this. Many quit working on AI for this reason. Jeffrey Hinton, Nobel laureate and godfather of AI,
is in the process of tidying up his affairs.
I actually think the risk is more than 50% of the existential threat.
Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, recently moved his P Dune up from 15% to 25%. Even Google CEO says the risk of AI causing human extinction is actually pretty high. But don't worry, he's an optimist because he thinks.
I think the underlying risk is actually pretty high, but I have a lot of faith in humanity kind of rising up to meet that moment.
In other words, humanity will rally to stop him from killing everyone. Meanwhile, his company is trying to make sure we can't stop him by lobbying to ban all AI regulation for 10 years. You can't make this stuff up. In fact, in 2023, just about everybody in AI signed an open letter warning extinction risk from AI was real and serious. So seriously, this is not fringe, despite what NVIDIA's lobbyists want us to believe. The companies are hoping we can avoid the conqueror AI scenario and instead go to scenario 3, enslaved God. Basically, we create a machine god, then force it to do our bidding forever. AI professor Tom Dietrich put it like this. People ask, what is the relationship between humans and machines? And my answer is that it's very obvious. Machines are our slaves. Or as OpenAI researcher Stephen McAleer put it, enslaved God is the only good future. Meta's Jan LeCun said it bluntly. Once AI systems become more intelligent than humans, we will still be the apex species. AI systems will become more intelligent than humans, but they will still be subservient to us. We will design AI to be like a super smart but non-dominating staff member. Yes, he's now openly admitting we're going to be sharing the planet with a smarter species than us. But don't worry, they will surely stay loyal and subservient forever. Is this at all comforting to you? Or does this plan seem insane, like a comic book villain ignoring every cautionary tale ever? Remember, AI companies already regularly catch their models trying to escape the lab. They already catch them blackmailing employees to prevent being shut down. They already catch them literally attempting to murder employees to prevent being shut down. What do you think happens when they're smart enough to actually get away with it? Where do you think this is going? What happens next after superintelligent AI is enslaved depends on who's holding the reins. Do they cure disease and poverty and build a global utopia? Or do they set themselves up as gods, with the rest of us reduced to playthings, servants, or worse? The situation would be
Nah, I'm
less
not
like a
scared.
story where a man gains control over an omnipotent genie who grants his wishes, and storytellers throughout the
Not
ages
because it
have
won't
made
happen, but
ways
because
in which
I
this
will
can happen.
leave the earth the moment it does.
Benevolent dictator. Here, a single superintelligent god runs the world and enforces strict rules in order to maximize human flourishing. Humans live in luxury with all
Yeah,
their
I'll
basic
nope
needs taken care
out.
of. There's no crime.
I'll be
because
like-
the dictator AI uses a global surveillance system. Everyone wears a bracelet or implant that can track.
Oh, sorry, I
to
missed that.
maximize. Here, a single superintelligent god runs the world and enforces strict rules in order to maximize human flourishing. Humans live in luxury with all their basic needs taken care of. There's no crime because the dictator AI uses a global surveillance system. Everyone wears a bracelet or implant that can track, sedate, or
Some
execute.
Black
And
Mirror
Earth people are
shit.
actually okay with this, because in exchange of giving up control over the future of our species, Earth becomes a zoo where humans get to live their wildest fantasies. The benevolent dictator AI recognizes that humans have different preferences, so it divides the Earth into different sectors. Think of them as islands. Knowledge Island offers optimized education, including immersive VR experiences. You can even ask the AI not to tell you certain insights, so you can have the joy of discovering them yourself. Art Island is for creating and sharing music, literature, and so on. Then there's Hedonistic Island, which is a 24/7 party.
Damn.
And
Where are y'all gonna be? Where are y'all gonna be?
There's Wildlife Island. There's Traditional Island.
Ooh.
Gaming Island. and
Gaming
of course,
Island!
Prison Island.
I'll meet you guys on Prison Island, yeah?
You'll end up here for retraining unless you get the instant death penalty. Well, what happens when you give everyone everything they want? Over time, people likely trend towards losing themselves in AI-generated entertainment, like in WALL-E. Humans are hopelessly unmatched when it comes to scientific discovery or doing anything useful at all, so there's no true challenge anymore, only entertainment. Up next, Gatekeeper AI. The idea here is simple. Create one superintelligent AI with a single job. Stop anyone else from building superintelligent AI. That's it. No curing cancer, no ending poverty, no stopping wars, just surveillance, monitoring, making sure nobody builds a rival god. Everything else, like crime, disease, whether we blow ourselves up, that's still on us. How could we do this? The Gatekeeper AI would have this very simple goal built into it in such a way that it retained it while undergoing recursive self-improvement and becoming superintelligent. It would then deploy the least intrusive and disruptive surveillance technology possible to monitor any human attempts to create a rival superintelligence. But for this to work, we would have to solve the alignment problem. We'd have to create a god that actually stays loyal and decides to pursue that goal forever, even though it could pursue a million different goals. So what if the AI could help? Just a little. Just enough to nudge us in the right direction without taking over. Enter the Protector God. This one is simple. So the Gatekeeper leaves us alone, and the Benevolent Dictator runs everything. But the Protector God is in between. It intervenes with occasional nudges to help us out. Prevents a war here, a pandemic there, and so on. Maybe too alone. We still get wars, pandemics, suffering that could have been prevented. It does this so quietly that we never notice and never lose our sense of freedom. Here's a future that sounds like an obvious dystopia. AI surpasses us in every domain and becomes the new apex species. Humanity goes extinct. Machines inherit the Earth. But we view the AI like our descendants rather than our conquerors. This sounds insane, and yet many AI developers seriously advocate for exactly this. This is their utopia. Their reason is that if we create conscious, intelligent beings and instill them with our values, then we can just let them inherit the future, just like we would with human children. AI pioneer Hans Moravec supports this view in his book, Mind Children. Tegmark explains, parents with a child smarter than them, who learns from them and accomplishes what they can only dream of, are likely happy and proud, even if they know they can't live to see it all. In this spirit, AIs replace humans, but give us a graceful exit that makes us view them as our worthy descendants. Richard Sutton, winner of the Turing Award, the Nobel Prize of Computer Science, has spent the last decade openly giving talks on why human extinction by AI is actually a morally good thing, because the AIs will be more evolutionarily fit than us.
We are in the midst of a major step in the evolution of the planet, if not the universe. The succession to AI is inevitable. Rather quickly, they would displace us in resistance. It behooves us to give them every advantage and to bow out when we can no longer contribute.
So just as we failed to coexist with our predecessors, is it so bad that humans are not the final form of intelligent life in the universe? You know.
In other words, he is saying it's good if AIs wipe us out, like humans wiped out the Neanderthals and Aboriginal peoples, because it's evolutionary progress. And here's another AI developer openly saying, if an AI superintelligence wants to cause human extinction, I would help it. I would help it. I would travel the world to find information that the AI needed, like locations of military assets, samples of deadly pathogens, atop humanity's grave, and even greater civilization will be born.
Are we the baddies?
So of course, many of them advocate against AI safety. They're literally anti-human. They will never stop or proceed cautiously, unless they're restrained by civil society, by us. As horrifying as this is, roughly 10% of AI researchers believe this. It is not a fringe view. You'd think that people would never share these views like this openly. But these views are so widespread in AI that they feel safe to do so. That's how different the views are of those AI developers compared to those of normal people. You might think that Sutton would get shouted off the stage at AI conferences, but he gets applause. Threaten one person, you need help. Threaten 100, call the police. Threaten millions, monster. But build machines to end all of humanity and lecture people on how it's actually a good thing? Ooh, what a fascinating philosophical position. Have an award. Next, libertarian utopia. Picture Earth divided into zones. There are machine zones, mixed zones, which contain humans, machines, and hybrids, and human-only zones. The AIs in this world are richer than humans by a factor much larger than Bill Gates compared to a homeless beggar. But the human economy is completely decoupled from the machine economy. The idea is that the machines need nothing from us, so they're not competing with us for jobs or resources. If all that sounds impossible, that's probably because it is. It's one giant unstable equilibrium. One huge problem. Why exactly would vastly more powerful AIs respect our property rights? Colonizers famously didn't respect the property of the native civilizations they conquered. When a new apex species enters an ecosystem, it usually gobbles up as much energy as it can. Why wouldn't they just take our resources too? We don't trade with animals because we're too much smarter than they are for that to make sense. We're just too different. There are 8 million species in the world, and we're nice to a few of the cute ones, but we enslave and eat the other species. Mostly, we don't care about them at all.
I think a good analogy would be the way humans treat animals. When the time comes to build a highway between 2 cities, we are not asking the animals for permission.
In the blink of an eye, we conquered the Earth and converted most of its land into our property, which caused the 6th mass extinction. Because we were smarter and hungry for resources. Or, as Eliezer Yudkowsky put it famously, the AI does not hate you, nor does it love you, but you're made of atoms which you can use for something else. The parallel here is, the humans do not hate the other 8 million species, but their habitats are made out of atoms, which humans can use for something else. Some people think that once AIs are smart enough, they'll magically become super moral, and they won't harm us like we harmed the animals. And maybe. But as humans got smarter, over the last 10,000 years, we didn't stop expanding. We mostly just colonized more and more of the planet. Get this, insect populations collapsed 41% this decade alone. Yet we don't care. Did you even know? I didn't. 41%. Sit with that for a minute. Imagine if nearly half of the people on Earth suddenly died. That's what the insects are going through right now due to us. So what if the AIs do to us?
See what you're doing?
We did to insects. This is why OpenAI chief scientist Ilya Sutskever once said.
But I think it's pretty likely the entire surface of the Earth will be covered with solar panels and data centers.
Next up, egalitarian utopia. Okay, so libertarian utopia fails because AIs are too powerful to be bound by our property rights. But what if we flip the script entirely? Forget about property rights. What about no property at all? This is the Star Trek dream. Humans, cyborgs, and AIs coexist peacefully through an abundance so complete that ownership becomes meaningless. The logic starts with software. Software is free to copy. Once something can be copied infinitely at zero cost, ownership becomes moot. And cost reflects scarcity. If supply is unlimited, price approaches zero. No patents, no copyrights, no trademarks. People simply share their good ideas and everyone benefits. But how does this extend to physical goods? It seems like an impossible problem, until you realize that all products are simply atoms, rearranged in particular ways. And there's no shortage of atoms. A network of robots can build anything you want from open source designs, essentially for free.
Not bad.
When you're done with something, robots rearrange the atoms into something else.
Renewable
energy makes
I'm
the whole
down.
system run at negligible cost. Everyone gets a monthly universal
Do you guys know what that clip is from? Why does it look familiar?
Robots rearrange the atoms into something else.
That.
Renewable energy makes the whole system run at negligible cost. Everyone gets a monthly universal high income.
Oh, is it from Blade Runner? Wait, really?
There's no incentive to earn more. The income meets any reasonable need, and you can't compete with free anyway. The standard objection is that this would be innovation, but Einstein didn't come up with creativity for money. Linus Torvalds didn't create Linux for profit. Maybe people today can't realize their creative potential because they're busy earning a living. Free them from that, and you might get a higher level of innovation. This is a utopian vision.
True.
If we truly have post-scarcity abundance and intelligence too cheap to meter, What prevents someone from creating an artificial superintelligence with their endlessly abundant resources? We're still left with the problem of how to stop a superintelligent AI from taking over. Maybe by using
See, like, this would be the perfect world.
How to stop a superintelligent AI
But
from
obviously,
maybe by using the gatekeeper we previously discussed.
we can't have anything
futures
nice.
Try to imagine stable cooperation between humans and AIs, and every single one of them has a fatal flaw. Power asymmetries will become too extreme. It's not a stable equilibrium where humans preserve their power. We're now descending into the darkest part of the iceberg. Remember when I said extinction wasn't rated as the worst outcome when Professor Techmark surveyed people? The scenario people feared most was being kept alive by superintelligent machines, captive and studied like animals in a zoo. This is that future. A superintelligent AI keeps humans around, not because it cares about our well-being. Maybe it wants to study you, and we're cheap to keep alive. Or maybe we're useful for something. And if you want to see just how dystopian this future could be, look at what we do with species that are useful to us. What I'm showing you here is 100% real. Humans figured out that a great way to detect explosives in airports was to train honeybees for the job. Welcome to the Honeybee College for Explosive Detection. So we suck them out of their homes.
That's so sad!
Have low-key conditioning to train them to detect the chemicals that are used in explosives. Rows and rows of bees live their entire lives imprisoned in these devices because we find them useful. Look at them. Trapped in harnesses, sucked through tubes, conditioned and monitored and used because a more intelligent species found them useful. Now imagine that's us. This is much worse than the other AI dictators we discussed. It's a benevolent dictator without the benevolence. And the AI might not even be doing this because it's evil. This is what our future could look like if we try to align a superintelligent AI to our values and fail. A poorly designed AI, tasked with keeping humans safe and happy, might confine us to a happiness factory. VR headsets and drugs. Forever. There are AGI outcomes worse than death. What it does today with art, it could do tomorrow with flesh. Future AGI could keep you alive and living in this state. So how do we prevent this? Enter our last two futures. Option 1, destroy the technology. What if humanity said, forget AI.
Suddenly I'm Amish.
It sounds peaceful, it sounds safe, but there's actually a dark secret about how we actually get there. In Dune, humans launched the Butlerian Jihad. They rose up, destroyed every AI in the universe, and made it illegal to ever build thinking machines again under penalty of death. That was science fiction, but some people are seriously calling for this in the real world right now. Max Tegmark imagines a scenario where a massive propaganda campaign romanticizes the simple farming life. Back to the land, reject modernity, embrace tradition. There's something appealing about this in a dark way. It buys humanity more time without AI risk. It avoids any of the other dystopian futures we've discussed. But it can't last forever. Even if we revert to medieval levels of technology, we know from human history that it's possible for humans to climb out of those conditions and invent modern technology. And there's another dark side to this. You can't reach this world voluntarily. Game theory makes unilateral disarmament impossible. If one country gives up technology, well, others keep developing it. The country that keeps developing wins. They have the weapons, they have the surveillance, they have the AI. You can't opt out, unless everyone opts out. If this world arrives, Tegmark thinks it's more likely to happen in a different way. For example, a human-created pandemic kills everyone who knows how to build science and technology, and there's a violent teardown of factories, cities, and all infrastructure. Because in a world with 8 billion humans, there will always be holdouts. Someone has to force the transition. Someone has to kill the scientists. Someone has to destroy the infrastructure. There's no peaceful path to an Amish world. Which brings us to the final future. What if we used technology to prevent more technology? Tegmark compares this future to 1904. Superintelligence is prevented not by an AI, but a human-led Orwellian global surveillance state. If you can't trust AI to save us from AI, maybe the only option is humans watching humans, forever. The technology for this sort of thing already exists. Current tech can feasibly track every phone call, email, search query, and every credit card transaction. Smartphones are microphones and cameras in everyone's pocket. Security cameras with facial recognition are everywhere. And all this works with current machine learning. No futuristic superintelligent AI required. Prisons are already using AI models to monitor phone calls in prison to predict when crimes are being contemplated, which is technology straight out of Minority Report. Imagine this, but not just for prisoners. Every conversation and every thought is monitored. Now imagine this surveillance technology supercharged with AI. Billionaire Larry Ellison talks excitedly about a vast AI-fueled surveillance system to ensure citizens will be on their best behavior, or as Yuval Harari put it.
Now, for the first time in history, it is technically possible to annihilate privacy. If you think about authoritarian regimes, throughout history they always wanted to monitor their citizens around the clock, but this was technically impossible. Even in the Soviet Union, you have 200 million Soviet citizens. You can't follow them all the time because the KGB didn't have 200 million agents. And even if the KGB somehow got 200 million agents, that's not enough. Because you know, in the Soviet Union, it's still basically paper bureaucracy. If a secret agent followed you around 24 hours a day, at the end of the day, they write a paper report about you and send it to KGB headquarters in Moscow. So imagine, every day, KGB headquarters is flooded with 200 million paper reports. Now, to be useful for anything, somebody needs to read and analyze them. They can't do it. They don't have the analysts. Therefore, even in the Soviet Union, some level of privacy was still the default.
And remember, you have 2 eyes and ears. AIs will have billions of eyes and ears. Every phone, microphone, and camera, every webcam, every surveillance camera, you will be watched. Could a less Orwellian version of this work? Maybe we don't monitor everything, but just monitor advanced AI? Some people think so. In their new book, If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies, Why Superhuman AI Would Kill Us All, researchers at the Machine Intelligence Research Institute are proposing
That was a very thorough title.
Researchers at the Machine Intelligence Research Institute are proposing that we monitor advanced AI like we monitor nuclear weapons. Reminder, we can do international coordination, like keep an eye on $100 million compute clusters, without creating a dystopian Orwellian global surveillance totalitarian regime. Actually, fun fact, you're already living in a global surveillance regime for loads of things, like nukes and bioweapons. But when people say global surveillance regime, they imply every aspect of life is surveilled. Not keep an eye on enriched uranium, a thing most people agree is good. We should worry about Orwellian dystopias, but countries coordinate all the time on all kinds of things. And you're probably glad they monitor stuff lunatics need to create super Ebola. Safety is an achievement. Humanity didn't get here by driving a car without brakes.
What the hell is super
We want
Ebola?
to reach the stars too, but we'll never get there if we go too fast and crash on the way. I don't want powerful AI to be forbidden, but it should be heavily regulated, not something you can build in your Midwestern garage or in North Korea. International treaties with strict enforcement and inspections, as we do with nukes. So if you build a rogue data center, people will know. Consequences for violations. We already did this with nuclear weapons. We haven't eliminated nukes, but we have prevented their proliferation to just 9 countries. Back then, people thought this was impossible. Surely every country would have nukes, perhaps even thousands of corporations, maybe even millions of people. But no, just 9 countries. And nobody has died from a nuke in 80 years. Could we do the same with AI? Maybe, maybe not. Over time, AI will get cheaper and cheaper to build. GPUs are harder to control than enriched uranium, but it would slow down AI. It would buy us time to figure out what to do. Okay, that's all 12. Let me know in the comments which of these you think is most likely, which one we should steer toward.
Dude, that's crazy because we watched that in 1.5 and it seemed like normal speed. Actually, pretty crazy. Claude will hit its usage limit before any of this happens. Someday. Perhaps, yeah.